Hi, it's Splinterverse. Welcome to another episode of D&D New Releases, where we offer first impressions of new third-party products for Dungeons & Dragons. We cover a selection of titles from Dungeon Masters Guild and DriveThruRPG each week. The titles are presented in alphabetical order by site, and all of them are linked in the video description. Purchasing the books using those links helps the channel, but you can also support us by purchasing one of our best-selling books. Our newest release, Swarms of the Multiverse, offers over 70 brand new creatures, including their associated swarms. Plus, you get instructions on how to make your own balanced swarms, and lots of bonus materials such as 4 new demiplanes. We've got lineages suitable for any setting, as well as optional lineage rules in our Van Richten's Librum of Lineages. With our Potions Unlocked book, we have over 100 pages of material to take your potions to the next level in your game. Our Feywild Companion offers 150 pages of Feywild fun for players and DMs. Also, our book, Fizban's Vault of Draconic Secrets, contains over 50 pages of dragon-themed player options, including a subclass for each class and much more. Please support the channel by purchasing one of our books using the links in the video description. Before we talk about the new releases this week, we've got to talk about the Splinterverse exclusive discount for the week. It's Mystery at Lantern Lane. It's a one-on-one or duet murder mystery adventure for 5th edition, and it's a whopping 30% off of its normal price, which is normally $4.95. So you're going to get a really good deal on this 24-page adventure. And as I said, it's duet, so it's meant to be played with one player and a DM, but I'm sure some crafty DMs could stretch it to work with other characters as well, but it says it's for a 3rd to 5th level character and can be finished in about 2 to 4 hours. So it's really the perfect thing for an afternoon if you just have yourself and one other person to play some D&D. You could just pull out this book and get started and have a good time and get your D&D fix. It says it has the player investigating the death of Lyra Hollowwind and is centered around investigation, roleplay, and putting together clues. The adventure is setting neutral and can be played as a one-shot or dropped into a larger campaign. So maybe you have a friend who's into mysteries or investigation but has been hesitant to try D&D. This could be another way, again, to get them involved. I also think duet play is a great way to introduce somebody who's maybe nervous about role play because it's just you and one other person. They might feel like that's more of a safe space than a full table. So lots and lots of reasons to grab this title at 30% off. So it's got some tips in it for how to play a duet format. It's got 7 detailed NPCs with character portraits and descriptions, a printer-friendly version that's also screen reader-friendly, and of course stat blocks for every creature and a full-color map of Lantern Lane where the adventure takes place. So looking inside, you get to see the entire book. So no reason not to check this out when you can read the whole thing and then decide, hey, if this is going to work for you or not. So it talks about how to run the adventure, some background, and then it gets into Lantern Lane, and here we go. We got Sprout, which is one of the NPCs. It says the hedge at the end of the lane is an awakened shrub that has been brought to life due to the magic of the hidden wellspring. He's a small plant that usually resides in front of Hollowwind Manor. Although he can speak, he rarely does so, and instead spends his time observing the locals. He sees himself as a caretaker of the area and would watch over Ambrose, who gave him his name. When Lyra inherited the house, the Sprout attempted to take on the same role, but ended up scaring her instead. So that's a fun character. You can see how that could work out. You see several other ones here with their portraits and all sorts of details like who are they, what do they know, what are they hiding, and why did they kill Lyra. So, various suspects. You're going to have to investigate and figure out which one of these characters killed Lyra. And then here's the really nice map of Lantern Lane. I love this. I think it looks really cool with the almost like a sketch style. It's got everything marked on it, so you could even reuse this for another adventure, but I think it looks so cool. You've got a little pond or something here, and this is Hollowwind Mansion right next to the pond, and then you've got all these different other locations, and of course through your investigation you're going to have to visit all of these, right? So you've got the old house at the end of the lane, Hollowwind Mansion has been a feature of Lantern Lane for as long as people can remember. Many years ago, when the Wellspring of Magic was first discovered, the people who found it decided to keep it hidden away. They formed the Order of the Silver Strides and built a structure to guard it. Eventually, this became a large mansion and fell into the hands of Ambrose Hollowwind. When the character first arrives at Hollowwind Mansion, read the following text out loud. So it says, a huge mansion stands waiting at the end of the lane. Its walls and windows show signs of care taken to maintain them over the years. Neat rows of perfectly trimmed hedges line the path leading toward the door, and the door itself stands tall, adorned with a bright silver knocker. There is nothing out of place here, except for a balled-up piece of paper caught in one of the hedges. So you can see already it's painting the picture of this estate sort of at the end of the lane, Lantern Lane. And you can see with these hedges where that Sprout character we read about might be idling and could be involved. Maybe it's near where this paper is. So lots of stuff could be going on. And then you've got the shrubberb of Lantern Lane. The awakened shrub is meant to assist the player as they go through the adventure. Use this character to nudge the player in the right direction or point out things they missed, but remember not to give anything away. So that's good too. Again, you might be dealing with a beginner who just doesn't know what the boundaries are as far as how far they can suggest things. So having a character like that to also sort of prod them along is cool. So you get some stat blocks for the Awakened Shrub, CR1, and the Animated Armor, CR1, and Priest, Skeleton, Spectre, Spy, Winterwolf, etc. And then there's some handouts like Lyra's Letter and the Wanted poster. So really cool. Yeah, I love this. I think this could be really fun. And what I also really think is great about it is it's a one-shot. So again, it can be that gateway for somebody into D&D because you're going to use all the normal rules. It's just that you're only going to have one player. So it's a great way to really get someone the opportunity to get their feet wet. They don't have to be surrounded by a bunch of strangers or people that they're intimidated by. Maybe, especially if they have any kind of anxiety. This could be a really cool way to just say, hey, let's just you and I play and see if you like it. And if you like it, then, we can consider you joining a smaller party at my table or something and ease you into it. Or maybe you have a relative you want to play this with that you don't see very often. The holidays are coming. There's Thanksgiving, other holidays where you might want to just have a couple hours with somebody. And as I said, it's normally $4.95, but it's going to be 30% off of that, thanks to Owl Point Press. They're giving us this exclusive discount, and these discounts only last for about a week, so you're going to want to make sure you take advantage of it. It's in the timestamps, the very first link. It's also in the pinned comment in the alphabetical links under Mystery at Lantern Lane. Give it a click and get your duet game on. All right, our first new release is Astral Combat Maneuvers, a resource for ship combat mechanics using an advanced Spelljammer airship from Brian Balagot. It's $1.50 for 11 pages, and it says it provides 2 new elements to ship combat for your Spelljammer campaign, a new airship and rules for dynamic ship combat. With this supplement, ship combat will feel more like regular initiative, where each character's individual initiative role matters. Using this new airship, your player characters will get to use more of their features to bolster their flight experience, rather than feel like their stats are being replaced with that of the Spelljammer. So you'll find 2 pages of airship stats, 2 pages of airship combat rules, a 1-pager describing the 2 roles in the spelljamming airship, the pilot and the gunner. Another page describing how to use the airship and the combat rules together to quickly create an encounter. A handout cheat sheet reference for the rules, suggestions for applying them to other Spelljammer vessels. And of course, it's all comes together in one supplement that is beautifully formatted for you. So it's going to be easy to read. And it says, you can try them out. There's a corresponding adventure that they also released this week called Mighty Wings. So there's a link to that, and you can try that out. You can see it down here. It's got kind of a Top Gun parody style cover, which I think is awesome. So really cool. So I just think it's great to see the power of DM's Guild. I mean, there have been some complaints about Spelljammer for 5th edition, how especially the ship-to-ship combat is a little bit not what people wanted. And so I love seeing these titles that are trying to bridge that gap and help DMs make use of it rather than abandoning it. So I think that's always awesome. And I think one of the great reasons that Wizards decided to have something like DM's Guild where people could do these things, because they can't possibly cover every angle in their books. So it's great to have supplements from third-party publishers like Brian here to fill in that gap. So looking inside, you get the airships, the rolls, the maneuvers, putting it all together, and then a handout, as well as the information to use this on some existing ships that are published. So you get to find out about the author, and it looks like the author is standing there with an F-14. So that's some good credentials for dealing with ship-to-ship combat for sure. So you've got the introduction and a quote from Top Gun. So very cool. Love that. Then you get into the airships, the R-Wing, the T-Wing. So really cool. So let's read a little bit about the airships. It says, spelljamming ships move by converting the spell energy of the spelljammer into motive force. The boundaries of this metaphysical relationship change when more energies can be channeled into the spelljammer vessel. And this is exactly what the Valkyrie airship accomplishes. By harnessing the power of two spelljammers called a duo working together by interlocking their individual airships that form the Valkyrie, more spell energy is channeled into an overall smaller vessel, enabling it to travel at Jam 4, which is spelljammer speeds of 100 million miles per 24 hours, I think that's million, divided by 10 to the fourth power speeds. The result is an airship that can travel at 416 miles per hour in a mission zone for airspace domination. The Valkyrie is made to get into a mission zone quickly, take out targets before anyone notices, and get out quickly. So again, very Top Gun, right? So you got the R-Wing, which also known as the Rumble Unit, is a single cruise spelljamming ship that is occupied by the spelljammer, who takes the gunner role and looks like a boat with one sail. The interlocking mechanisms are at the bottom of the ship, and then it gives you all the details like eject, explosive end, telepathic link. It says spelljammers can speak telepathically to each other, but must say over at the end of their message to maintain their connection. And then T-Wing, the T-Wing is known as Tumble, and it is occupied by the spelljammer, who takes the pilot role and looks like a boat with one sail because the R-Wing and T-Wing interlock. So really cool. And I could see where you could even have, like, if you have a party of 4 people, you could have 2 of these craft traveling together, so it could be really fun. 2 being 2 tumbles and 2 rumbles, right? Because you need that to put this together. But I think it's really cool. A lot of people are enjoying the new Top Gun movie, and I think this could be fun to bring some of that, those aerial dogfights into Spelljammer, or even just, like I said, make it more fun to have the ship-to-ship combat, because that's been a big complaint of a lot of people who grabbed the Spelljammer box set. So check it out. It's under Astral Combat Maneuvers in the links below. Give it a click. Next we have Baba Lysaga's Nocturnes and Nightmares, which is already a best copper seller in its first week. So it's already sold 51 copies, and it's by Anthony Anderson, Danny Kodachek, or Kodachek, I should say, Jackson Wagner, Brian Cetroni, Anastasia Murray, Caspian Cavieri, and Colby Whitaker. It's $19.99 for 113 pages. Already got 3 ratings and an average of 5 stars. And it says, Baba Lysaga has crept into the room of von Zarevich Castle and stands over the baby boy. Humming a tune, she begins to rock the cradle gently. What plans does she have in store for the child? This book contains a recipe for terror like no other. Baba Lysaga prepares a young Strahd for greatness with stories of adventurers, fairy tales, madness, and horror. This includes new subclasses for all 13 classes. Find the spooky spells, cursed items, and new haunted lineages inside, and no storybook would be complete without new nightmare settings, monsters, and one-shot adventures with which to share her frightful tales with others. Find the scrolling rhymes of Baba Lysaga as she passes on her twisted lessons in an easy-to-remember format for small children, for use with any 5th edition content. So lots of creators worked on this. You get twisted subclasses, so 13 new subclasses, 1 for each of the core classes. You get some monstrous lineages, and then you get uncanny magic, which is 20 spells of darkness, madness, and spooky delight Then you also get some nightmare domains. So these would be domains of dread, presumably for, Ravenloft, the Shadowfell, etc. And then you get some adventures. You get a tier 1 and a tier 3 to 4 adventure. You get some magical items, cursed items, 29 magical and cursed items. And then you get 30 horrifying monsters, as well as sort of a guide for running horror. And you can see some of the gorgeous artwork already. So this is, a massive supplement. And there's a video down here you can watch as well. So much on offer in this. I really want you to think about that. When you think about books that come out, when authors put the time in to give you so much material in one book, you got to think about how expensive that is for them and how much time that is for them. Yes, the little 5-page supplements, 10-page supplements are great, but really think about it. If you were to do a book that's 113 pages or just over 100 pages, how many months would that take you, right? So we really, as supporters of this community, we always have to take a hard look at these titles that are longer like this and really think about supporting them, because the amount of investment of time and money that people have put into this is going to be massive. And so if people do this and then nobody buys it, it's going to discourage them from doing it again, right? So these creators have put their passion and time into it. And if you like what you see, you really want to think about, hey, these big books, I got to support them, because if you don't, people will just stop making the big books. They'll just make the 5-page supplements and, there just won't be big books. So it's always, always good. I'm excited by what's in this one. I mean, it's already got some great reviews, as you can see at the top here, and then tons of stuff in here that I want to look at. But I just wanted to say that because I don't know that everybody who watches this is a publisher and understands that it's a risky endeavor to decide to produce something this big and then maybe not get a return on investment. So we gotta support that. All right, so looking inside right away, we get some magic items. So we have the Amulet of the Last Dream, the Bag of Snatching, which comes with the stat block, which is always exciting when an item comes with the stat block. And there's the Book of Fabulous Creatures, Dancers, Music Box. I mean, just some fun stuff. And I mean, look at this really beautiful artwork in here. Something's going wrong in this workshop, it looks like, or whatever. It looks like maybe a gardening area, but you got a little snowman in there. And then you got Ghoul Jerky, Interment Bouquet, Keys of the Nightmare Estate. I mean, just a lot of fun stuff. And the layout is gorgeous. I mean, these little notes they've got in here, they've got little corners. And then down here you've got Creatures of Darkness. So you're getting to see the Abyssal Brood and the Abyssal Devourer, which is CR2 and a CR7. So a good range of monsters. And this table here shows you that they range from 1/8 all the way up to 14. That's a good selection for you if you're a DM and you're trying to populate an adventure, an encounter, or even a whole setting. Having a range is good. And you can see, because they do include domains of dread, they've got associated domains with them too. So that's cool. It makes each domain have a feeling like there's a different sort of ecosystem there, because it's got different creatures. So fun. Let's go back up and read a few of the items here. So Amulet of the Last Dream, I love that name. It's a wondrous item, very rare, requires attunement. This amulet contains images of Keklir before the invaders came and wrought havoc and pain upon it. While attuned to this amulet, you have advantage on saving throws to avoid being charmed, frightened, or possessed. As an action, you can open the amulet and cast the Mirage Arcane spell without expending a spell slot. Once you have cast the spell, you must finish a long rest before doing it again. So that's cool. You get the Mirage Arcane spell, which is in here, presumably. And you get Bag of Snatching. Wondrous item, very rare, requires attunement. This bag resembles a bag of holding and can be used as one in all respects. However, in addition, as an action, once per day while holding it, you can command it to swallow a creature of large size or smaller within 100 feet of you that you can see. When you take this action, the bag animates and flies directly at the target creature. It attacks the creature and continues attempting to swallow it until either it succeeds, it is destroyed, or you command it to return as a bonus action. If it successfully swallows the creature, it attempts to return to your hand by as direct path as possible. A creature inside the bag can survive for the same amount of time as in a normal bag of holding. So that's interesting. I like that. I wonder what happens, though, if it is destroyed. Do you lose all your stuff that was in there if you used it as a bag of holding? But it's really cool concept that your bag of holding can also basically go swallow a big creature and get it out of your hair, so you can avoid maybe one encounter or make one encounter less deadly. And yeah, there's just so many. Like the Book of Fabulous Creatures looks fun too, because you got these fairy tales down here. This lavishly illustrated tome contains 6 fairy stories, 5 of them either of the DM's choice or randomly selected from the table below. Each tale features one or more fantastical creatures. As an action while holding the book, you can command it to read any one of its stories out loud. At the end of your turn, the creatures from the story's illustration appear in an unoccupied space of your choice that you can see within 120 feet of the book and within 40 feet of each other. They are typically disoriented and inclined to be hostile, but if intelligent, it may be possible to reason with them. So that could be really fun, and it shows you it could be night hag, nobles, djinns, spirit unicorns, elephants, rhinoceros, and I like how there's a description and illustration described as well, so the DM can really embellish that or further that, or if you're having the player do it, they can really run with these prompts and just have a good time, relating the story. Because I mean, you're basically forcing everyone to listen to a little fairy tale, which could be a fun role-playing experience. So I just think there's just so much in here, just so much. And we've only looked at a little bit of the creatures and a little bit of the items. But as I said, this book has subclasses, one for every class. It's got lineages. It's got spells, lots of spells, 20 of them, ranging from cantrip all the way to 9th. Domains of Dread, adventures. I mean, this is just a full supplement, and I think that's awesome, and you need to check it out. So look for it in the links below. It's under Baba Lysaga's Nocturnes and Nightmares. Give it a click. And next we have Dark Reflections, So Much More Than a Pretty Face by Caleb Bayans, Jess Pindley, Adam Hancock, Holly Wake, Alexandra Bachman, Sky Crawley, Ben Crossley, and a bunch more authors. And it is $30 for 225 pages. And it says, the twisted tellings of your classic fairy tales keep your players guessing who the villains really are. With a whopping 225 pages stuffed full of 11 adventures, magic items, antagonists, NPCs, maps, and thrills your players will never be wanting. This thick product will provide you with either a month of entertainment by stringing the tales together, or the ability to drop them into your existing game to pad out all the hard DM work you put in. Follow your players as they explore the darker side of the happily ever afters they know and love from childhood. So really, really cool concept. Going to explore the fairy tales. And so we get to see 10 of those 225 pages. And so you get an introduction, find out about all the people involved, then you get the different sort of adventures that involve these fairy tales, and each of them have NPCs and magic items involved, and so then it goes into one of the adventures here. It gives you background and kind of an overview, complications, various things. So it looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. If you like fairy tale themed stuff, if you need just a grab bag of adventures that you can pull from, having all of these would be really, really cool. And they have fun names like 12 Devious Princesses, Don't Go Into the Woods, Reclaiming Hope, Haunting of the Aldwood Manor, Fractured Heart. I mean, you can just imagine what those are. So we get to read a little bit of the 12 Devious Princesses by Michelle Churchill. And it says, a series of mysterious crimes cause concern in the palace, but it isn't enough to distract Princess Doretta from her nightly parties. It's optimized for 4 to 6 4th level characters. And if I could give one piece of advice to the creators of this, maybe list in your description the range of tiers that these adventures cover, because I think that's a good selling point for DMs. It looks like we've got at least 1 4th level, but it'd be cool to know what other ones are in here, so that if a DM needs a particular tier or wants to appreciate the breadth of what you have, then they can see that. So it says, over the past year, a number of crimes have been committed against members of the royal court. The crimes range from theft to the destruction of property. The king has hired mercenaries and adventurers to try to solve these crimes, but no one has uncovered the truth, or if they have, haven't lived to reveal it. The king has set a bounty of 5,000 gold pieces to any group who can find and capture the criminals responsible for the crimes that take place each evening. Adventurers may be notified of the opportunity by notices distributed among well-known inns and taverns or through guild or faction contacts, or I would say even maybe a notice board. And then it gives you an overview. So very cool. And there's a part 1 hired by the king, and you get a royal introduction. It says characters are led by 2 palace guards to the throne room. And it says the room is brightly lit by large windows letting in daylight and torches lining the wall. The king sits upon a throne, an empty smaller throne on his right side. Members of the court watch your approach with low whispers. Some appear to be making wagers as to whether or not your group will succeed, where many before you have failed. As you approach the throne, the king rises to greet you. I thank you for arriving to rid us of this nightly menace. Brave adventurers, the mission before you is straightforward. I shall give you up to 3 nights to find who is perpetrating these crimes. If you find the cause of this calamity, I shall reward you handsomely. If you fail, you shall be banished from these lands for the remainder of the year. Well, it's nice he's only going to ban them for a year. But, yeah, so it's cool. You get to have a king, and you get to meet with, it says, meeting with the princesses. Princess Doretta is missing from the assembly. She arrives from upstairs just as the characters are being shown their living quarters. And so you get an interaction with the princess, and then you have the palace quarters. So, yeah, this has a very fairy tale feel with the king and the princesses and all that stuff. And then you've got the mages of the court, some different characters like Grombar Shrak, who is a half-orc apprentice wizard. He can be found in the library studying with the 𝙬𝙬𝙧𝙪 and often seeing to it that the older mage is comfortable and has everything they need. So very cool. And then there's complications. A broken wand of wanders sitting on the desk causes one of the following things to happen. The wand casts fairy fire on the nearest character, or it casts stinking cloud, or the wand casts enlarge reduce on the nearest character to shrink them, or the wand causes leaves to grow from the nearest character. So some fun complications, and just all sorts of good stuff in here. And this is just one adventure. There's rumors, events, complications, NPCs, members of the court. I mean, you can reuse this to create your own little whether it's a domain in an existing kingdom in the material plane, or you want to port some of this to maybe the Feywild or some other place where you could have a kingdom, you could do that. You could repurpose a lot of these characters. So you got to think of it beyond using these books, because when you buy a book like this, you got to think of all the possibilities. So of course you can run it as is, but then there's reusability. You can pull stuff out like some of these characters and reuse them again. And I love the voices of the characters. They seem to be well written and distinct. Sometimes you don't get that, but there's just so much in here, so many adventures, so much fairy tale goodness. I know a lot of people love that stuff. I enjoy fairy tales. And I think it'd be fun to play out a lot of these. And there's 225 pages of adventure stuff. So I think you need to check it out. It's under Dark Reflections in the links below. Give it a click. Next, we have Encounters in the Radiant Citadel. It says, just steps from a Concord jewel, a wealth of new stories await, with a really fun, beautiful cover. It looks like it might be by Grace DeMayo. And the authors are Lila McBeath Fujiwara, and John Cardoso, Nick Donovan, Aaron Gable, Lucas Gobert, Taylor Navarro, and a host of others. $4.95 for this book, and it's a best copper seller. That means it's already sold 51 copies, and it's barely been a week. 22 pages for this, got good ratings already. And it says, set in the Radiant Citadel, this is the perfect supplement to the journeys through the Radiant Citadel from Wizards of the Coast, allowing adventurers to explore the ancient city and discover more about its people and places. From the Trade Discal to the Preserve of the Ancients, delve deeper into the secrets of this bastion of wonder and hope. So you get 10 one-session encounters for characters levels 2 to 13. You get a hand-drawn dungeon map for a new area in the Citadel, 3 VTT maps, 5 stat blocks, 2 magic items, a printer-friendly version, and a host of memorable NPCs. So just a ton of stuff. I mean, I think the Radiant Citadel was a really fun book, and I think a lot of people would love to continue the adventures that were found in that book with either further adventures or even just visiting that location and having different adventures than what's in the book. So we've got Rosa tinted glasses here in the preview, and you can see one of the VTT maps, pretty colorful. And so let's read a little bit about this. It says, as a contaminated skeleton attacks civilians in the street, the characters must aid a grieving woman in protecting both the innocent and the skeleton until acolytes arrive. This encounter is designed for 4 4th-level characters. It says, while walking through the streets close to the House of Convalescence, characters hear terrified screams from nearby. As the characters arrive at the scene, read or paraphrase the following. Screams ring out as people scramble up trees or into houses. A gnome rushes at a skeleton, rope in hand, as a dark-haired young woman wraps her arms around it, yelling, "Mom, stop! Help is coming!" The skeleton ignores her and slams into the gnome, knocking them out cold. So, yeah, this is not a good situation. The characters need to get in there and help. And it looks like it's a contaminated skeleton, which is a CR3. And it says it's rampaging through the street, attacking anyone who gets close, except for a woman, Rosa Alvera, attempting to hold it back, whom it ignores. Upon seeing the characters, Rosa rushes toward the characters and begs them to drop their weapons and help her restrain her mother until city help arrives. Rosa is convinced to stand aside on a deception or persuasion check that is successful, but holds her action to protect the skeleton if the characters become violent. So interesting that it's attacking everyone but Rosa, and you can figure out kind of the mystery of that and really explore these fun maps. You've got some innocent bystanders that are involved. So there's 5 commoners that are frozen in fear. So the party's going to have to carefully think about how they're going to deal with the skeleton when you've got these innocent bystanders, which is something I don't think we think about enough in adventures, that there could be collateral damage and things like that. So playing that out could be interesting. The DM could even deal with the consequences if the characters just fireball everything, right? And then, the commoners are also impacted. So could be a lot of fun. Just navigating that. And it's not just an ordinary skeleton, it's a contaminated one. And that's just one of the encounters that are awaiting you to further explore the awesome Radiant Citadel. So I think you need to grab this. It's in the links below under Encounters in the Radiant Citadel. Give it a click. Next, we have Juggernaut Class from Dustin Harriman. It's $4.99 for 10 pages. And Dustin had previously released the Necromancer class, which we have talked about on this channel before. And that was very widely received well. So I think you're going to enjoy this as well if you enjoyed the Necromancer class. But it says you can play as a hardy martial class focused on the use of a customizable colossal shield. In addition to their superb toughness enhancing features, Juggernauts use a variety of Juggernaut techniques, their feats of skill and strength made manifest. This class comes complete with 3 subclasses, the Ravager, Defender, and Legionnaire. And I just really enjoy the art on this cover. It's by Tommy Lee. Looks really cool. And so you get to see 4 of the 10 pages, 10 pages in the preview here. So it says, a Juggernaut's sense of honor and pride hinges on their toughness, their ability to take a beating and survive so that others don't have to suffer. So it sounds like kind of like a tank class, if you're familiar with the video game lingo for classes. To accomplish this end, each Juggernaut has crafted their own unique colossal shield tailored to their body and their ideals of functionality and beauty. The shield is nothing if it isn't placed between the innocent and danger, and this knowledge is burned into each Juggernaut's heart like a brand. So that's a fun angle to roleplay too. You're pretty much tied to the shield, and you take it seriously where you're putting yourself between the innocent and danger, and so that could be a lot of room for role play, because you can see even just in an argument where the character might step between people and just try to stop it, right? Because they see themselves as a natural protector. So I like that. It says they're known for being stoic and difficult to rattle. Their choice of lifestyle demands that they remain steadfast in all manner of horrific and unexpected situations, and no matter what happens, to keep holding the line. So you can see the different features they get, and then they have this shield bash damage that grows with their leveling and, of course, their strength value, which is cool. Strength, I feel like, doesn't get used very often, so it's nice to see it used for something here. It It's really cool. So starting at first level, you have a specially upgraded shield of enormous size, which covers your entire body. Your shield is your Juggernaut's pride and joy, and is the embodiment of their class. Every Juggernaut names their shield and decorates and designs theirs uniquely. Your shield, when worn on your back, protects your back from projectiles, counting as 3/4 cover. When worn on your back, your Juggernaut gains the function of both hands, but does not have the usual benefit of their Colossal Shield's bonus to their AC. If you are a size large, your Colossal Shield grows to a large size. So your speed is reduced by 5 feet. Your character can no longer benefit from wearing heavy armor. And the shield bonus to your AC becomes equal to your proficiency modifier instead of the regular benefit. This does not change if the shield receives a +1 or similar enchantment. And then you can taunt at first level, presumably, bringing characters or, enemies toward you. And then at level 2, you choose your creed, which would be your subclass. And then you get superior health. At level 2, you can now add your proficiency modifier to the number of hit points you gain when rolling. So your proficiency bonus when rolling hit dice or short rest. And then you get advantage on Constitution saves at 13th level. But then let's just talk about the shield bash. I'm not gonna read all of this. I want you to come read it yourself before you decide to buy. But shield bash, starting at 3rd level, your Juggernaut shield becomes magical and cannot be corroded. And shield bash attacks delivered by it are considered magical. So you can overcome resistances and immunities. You gain the ability to strike with your equipped Colossal Shield as a bonus action, and it goes through all the things that you can do with that. And then, of course, as we talked about in that table, the damage increases as you level. So you get up to 64 by the time you get to 20th level, and then you get the plus strength on top of that. So very cool. Seems fun. I think the role play of being covered in the shield, maybe you could play the character as having walls up, right? Like protected from everybody. You have to be so stoic and on edge and ready to defend that maybe there's walls up between you and people you want to get close to. So that could be a way to role play, or others see it as a barrier of getting to know you, maybe. So there's so many little angles that can work in with this outer experience of having this coverage by a shield. And it's all called Juggernaut. I like that name too, because a Juggernaut, if you think like Marvel Comics Juggernaut, it's this unstoppable force that just is tanking and getting in there, right? And getting up close to the danger. And so it could be really fun to play that, I think. So check it out. It's under Juggernaut Class, I should say, in the links below. Give it a click. Up next, we have Monster Hunts Halloween Volume 2 from Val Serene and Alex L. And it's going to give you a lot of Halloween-themed fun, it seems like. So prep yourself for the Skeleton War. It's time for even more spooktacular monster hunts. Get ready to inject a whole heap of spooky, bittersweet, entertaining, and downright bizarre adventures into your Dungeons & Dragons games from level 1 all the way to 10. So that's cool. You're going to have all these adventures from level 1 to 10. So really fun stuff always in Val's books. You've got the monster hunting, so there's this harvesting aspect, but then you've also got just fun adventures. I mean, look at the cool layout with these beautiful maps that we're seeing in the screen grabs of the pages here. Yeah, just super helpful, easy prep too, because they cover everything in these books, these Monster Hunt books, so that you really don't have to do as much prep as you might normally. So it talks about hunting, because that's part of this, is that there's the ability to harvest and do different things with the monsters, and then some hunting tables at the end, but then all the different, again, levels 1 to 10 adventures for you. So it talks about, how to use it, but you get to see the whole book pretty much in this preview, so you can read through, look at the different adventures. So this first one, Crawling in the Walls, it says seeking adventures for aid in restoration and renovation of old establishment, address attached. So that's kind of like what the characters would see. It's for character levels 1, party size 4 to 6, and it says a prospective tavern owner is looking to renovate and repurpose an old building which belonged to a late hunter. Unfortunately for the entrepreneur, the building is cheap for a reason. Many believe it to be haunted. The party will have to investigate the building to learn of its history and cleanse it of any foul presence it might hold. So you meet the NPCs, you explore, and there's various DCs for things that you learn, and then the hunt and the conclusion and notable NPC, and then these maps. I mean, look at these gorgeous maps that you get as well. So much to find in there. I mean, this looks like a trophy room on the right here with all these different creatures in it. So reusability, I feel like, with these maps as well. And so ritual for cure for level 2. So it seems like they're going level 1 to 10, which is really helpful. And then another stunning map. I mean, this looks like some sort of cathedral. So I mean, just for the maps alone, the $9.99 price point I think is going to be worth it if you use VTT or need maps. But let's read a little bit about Looking for Lost Love. It says, a church and its adjacent graveyard were abandoned decades ago. Now the spirit of a man buried in the graveyard has become restless, for he was not buried with his lover. The spirit has managed to possess a wandering cyclops and is using the cyclops to dig up graves one by one in an attempt to find his lover's body and move it to his own plot so they can be buried together. What an interesting story. So there's these lovers, they've died, and they're not together, and so the spirit of one of them is just trying to reconnect with its lover, and it's possessed another creature. I mean, this is some stuff to figure out for your characters. You know, they're going to have to go up against the Cyclops, a ghost, and figure out why in the world is this Cyclops digging up graves, and then it doesn't do anything. It digs it up, realizes it's not the lover, just leaves it there. This is going to seem bizarre. It's not going to make sense, and they're going to have to figure out what is going on. And the answer, I think, makes sense and could be really fun for people to discover. And you can see, you get a map of some stuff that's been disturbed here from all of this going on. I always enjoy Val's work. I think these Monster Hunt books are just so much fun, and you just have so many options. I'm just doing a quick scroll through so you can see, again, the value of the maps. I mean, $9.99 to get these maps is going to be worth it alone, not to mention all these fun adventures. I mean, just the 2 that we read sounded really fun, different, not just a bunch of tropes, not just a bunch of repetitive stuff. It's new and original. And I think you can't go wrong with that. So who doesn't need an adventure for every level 1 to 10 standing by, ready to go? You can use it for Halloween, battle skeletons and cyclopses and ghosts and stuff, or you can use it outside of Halloween or in Ravenloft. So grab it. It's in the links under Monster Hunts Halloween Volume 2. Give it a click. Next, we have Profanity of Stone, a petrifying 5th level one-shot of horror by Taryn Pounds and Ross Lycer. It is $4.95 for 17 pages. It says there is a church of Pelor about a half mile from the village of Bergenberg, and there are rumors that the gargoyles atop the church's roof have been changing position during the night for the past few days. Some villagers even report seeing an unusually large gargoyle silhouetted in the moonlight, but there's no evidence of the larger gargoyle during the day. In addition, Father Rhaegar, the half-orc priest that runs the church, hasn't been seen in town since the rumors started, despite his normal daily excursions down into town to tend to the sick and give blessings to the crops. Townsfolk have been up to the church to investigate during daylight, but the door has been locked, and peering through the windows shows it to be totally empty. Villagers that live closer to the church, however, say that once night falls, they hear faint echoes of chanting and screams drifting down from the church and have been too frightened to approach. So the townsfolk have begged the party to go to the church tonight and put a stop to whatever's happening, with a promise of a reward if they discover what's happened to their beloved Father Rhaegar and end the frightening occurrences. So it's a 5th level one-shot that puts pressure on the players to act with haste as events of the adventure change based on a real-world timer. So very cool. I love the concept of this. It's perfect for Halloween or just any time you want to have sort of a pressure cooker adventure. I always love when adventures put the pressure on, because sometimes I feel like things at the table can just get bogged down and people just debating endless things. And when you have pressure being applied, I think that helps people get out of that analysis paralysis and get into action and fun and moving forward with the adventure and the story, right? And so this sounds really, really cool. I mean, obviously, this father, something has happened. Either he's up to no good or somebody has done something to him, because he was helping the sick and giving blessings, and now he's not, and there's all this craziness happening that needs to be stopped with these strange occurrences. So really, really cool. And by some really fun creators. You can see they've done a lot of great works. I mean, the Shaman is such a great class. And then, of course, the Vanguard, the Alchemist, these other great releases from Terran. So the combination of these two should be pretty awesome. And looking here, you've got running the adventure, maps, and then chapter 2 goes through all the different floors of the adventure and magic items that you can get as well. So I love this. I think this could be just so fun. And there's Father Rygar and Brother, or maybe that's Brother Dephilus, I'm not sure. And then you got a monster roster, the church. I mean, just even the layout. I mean, the fonts they're using are very cool and fun to look at. So I think this is going to be all around awesome. But it says, the villains, a cult of demon worshippers, has taken over the Church of Pelor and have been performing desecrating sacraments upon Father Rygar in an attempt to break him so he'll free their demon master from its stone-cursed prison. Well, there you go. That makes sense what's going on now. And the cult's leader, Brother Dephilus, isn't powerful enough to free the stone-cursed Nelfeshni Tangarok on his own, Tangarlock, I can't say that, on his own, and seeks to force the more powerful priest of Pelor to do so. So fun. I like, that's kind of a twist. I was expecting like either the father's dead and they're just doing sacrifices in there, or the father is leading the sacrifices and doing some weird cult stuff. But the fact that he's like trying to hold on and hold back this ancient evil, presumably ancient, and that, yeah, just all this is going to be going on. It's going to be creepy, fun, perfect for Halloween, perfect for Ravenloft, perfect for any time, because the creators behind this are epic. So check it out. It's under Profanity of Stone in the links below. Give it a click. Next, we have Spelljammer Heists from William Roeder. It's a suggested price of $316 for 198 pages. That's a low price for that many pages. So keep that in mind. And it's a suggested price. You can pay more, but I'm really excited that you're going to get that many pages for a good price. And it says, plan and execute elaborate prison breaks. Swashbuckle your way through exotic locales as you and your party execute dangerous heists. In this book, a dozen thrilling heists explore the cosmic planes as the gods of the Forgotten Realms scheme to keep a dangerous being locked forever in stasis. Your true self, Solus Ipsis, the Many. Every heist is a rescue mission for a different version of yourself from elsewhere in the multiverse. What a cool concept. So you're going to have to travel the multiverse, presumably using Spelljammer to do so. And you're going to encounter all different versions of yourself. That could be really fun to play. And I'm not sure if it's a single person and all the versions of that person, or maybe multiple members of the party and different versions of them. But anyway, there's one called Border. It says, work together with the remnants of a dead wizard to escape a Yugoloth jail, escape from the Gleaming Beacon, infiltrate a celestial rehabilitation center that purports to turn evil creatures good, void pirates outswash and outbuckle a crew of dangerous void pirates to retrieve a mysterious chest. So, I mean, all of those sound fun so far, and that's just a few of them. There's a bunch in here. It says a dozen thrilling heists. So really cool. And I just think this could be so much fun. And let's look inside at the preview. So it says Teetering Imbalance by William Roeder. So this is one of the adventures. So entering perdition, and you got these maps here. It talks about Orzeg's laboratory, and then more maps to show you where things are in the alchemy workshop, etc. So you get to see like a preview of one of the adventures. So let's read about it. It says, there are two reasons to come to perdition: to bring ruin or to be ruined. The difference is whether the Yugoloths are willing to make a deal. The realm of perdition was once a prison world only fit for torment until the Yugoloths conquered it and made it their own, reshaping the land in their own image. And yet, for every change they made, the world teetered ever more steadily to the side, as if to tip them over the edge to oblivion. The party is here in search of Orzeg, an Arcanoloth, inventor, and torturer. They may be here on assassination mission for Spectro Solace, or they may be here to rescue Karen if she's kidnapped. The party storms 𝙤𝙘𝙢𝙀𝙗's laboratories and fights off her wicked inventions. 𝙤𝙘𝙢𝙀 offers the party a deal. She'll spy on the 𝘽𝙤 and provide the party with access to her inventions if it means they can get rid of the broken opal and 𝘫𝙤𝙤, the boiler, eventually. There's a rescue party from the Perdition under heavy fire from 𝘽𝙤's meteor ships. By the end of the adventure, the party will have braved the landscape of Perdition, infiltrated 𝙤𝙘𝙢𝙀's laboratory, carried out a daring rescue of a poor tortured soul, and made an explosive escape. So yeah, sounds like a fun recipe for adventure. So they give you multiple hooks, and they give you general features of Perdition, so you can really bring it to life. It's got gravity that pulls you awkwardly to one side. All saving throws and ability checks that rely on dexterity and strength are made with disadvantage unless you have any way of counteracting that. And then other ways to make it seem like it's otherworldly. So let's read a little bit about some of the flavor text here. So you come across a camp of 𝘽𝙤s, less out of necessity and more for general comfort. 6 𝘬𝙤s sit around a magical freezing lodestone, like how humans would sit around a fire during winter. They cool their red-hot metal tridents. Just as you start to plan your approach, you hear a horrible clanking, and from around a corner, 3 horrific clockwork monstrosities approach the camp. The 𝘬𝙤s bristle with distaste, but let the machines come closer anyway. Once clad in suits of armor, these skeletal machines strain with every movement. Barely held together, bits of them melted from the extreme heat, but they persist, perhaps out of sheer stubbornness. So yeah, it sounds like very otherworldly. You've got the 𝘬𝙤s. They're doing the opposite of sitting around a fire. They're trying to cool off. And I think the fact that there's mechanics to make the place feel otherworldly, and just so many adventures for such a great price. I mean, 198 pages of heist adventures for $3.16, plus this concept of like looking for yourself throughout the multiverse. I mean, I think that will be really fun as well. So look for it. It's under Spelljammer Heists in the links below. Give it a click. Next, we have Vecna's Library of Liches. And it's from QL Games. You can get it for $14.95 for the PDF, or the hardcover for $29.99, or both for $29.99, which is great. It's 51 pages. It says, in this landscape-oriented picture book intended for print publication, discover 8 classic liches reimagined for modern design standards, 7 new types of liches, and 13 minions to serve them all. And it's fully illustrated, so you get to see. I'm scrolling through some of the different ones, like the Fathomless Lich here, and a swarm of kobold zombies. So really fun pencil sketches to accompany this book. And looking inside, you get to see that it is landscape oriented, which is fun. I think that can be even better sometimes in digital, because most of our monitors are sort of landscape oriented nowadays as well. So they have Esorak with layer actions. It's a CR 24. You got Arcturus CR 23 that you can read in the preview. So let's look at one of these. Let's start with the Esorak here. So it says, sadistic and cruel even by the standards of liches, Esorak travels the multiverse searching for powerful magic items to add to his hoard. Unlike most ancient magi, though, he hoards them not for the purpose of research or use, but instead as bait. Rather than feed souls to his phylactery himself, Esorak builds elaborate tombs across many continents and seduces adventurers with the promise of the treasures inside. Arming these tombs with countless death traps, he waits and entertains himself as the adventurers journey into the tombs and die, their souls nurturing his phylactery as they do. His most famous creation was the Tomb of Horrors, where countless adventurers met their end. So great character, and this notion of like leading all the people into the dungeon to use as fodder basically is really cool. And so there's lair actions, and then really fun mechanics too. So you got a move sphere, you've got the ambivalent ray with a bunch of different powers: cold, lightning, necrotic, poison. So the rays do different things, spell casting of course, and then some legendary actions like devour soul, etc. I think this is going to be a lot of fun. Anybody who likes liches is really going to enjoy this. The artwork is just beautiful, and I mean, liches are just such great big bads. If you're building a campaign and you're like, I just need a big bad, I'm not sure who it's going to be. I mean, really consider this book. There's so many different ones in here from Wizards lore that you can use, and they're really detailed, updated, new mechanics, and lots of lore, so you can really get to know them, I think. So I would get this, and I love that it's print on demand as well. So it's under Vecna's Library of Liches in the links below. Give it a click. Next we have Ybloc's Book of Cruel Curses, a collection of calamities, comeuppance, and catastrophes in all their flavors by Kobe Whitaker. It's $10 for 34 pages, and it says a collection of all things cursed and cruel and guidance for running curses in your games. So, you know, curses are in a lot of stories, but they just don't seem to be employed a lot in D&D. So this book contains 65 new ones, as well as 50 new magic items, 6 new spells, rollable tables for complications, consequences, symptoms, and guidance on creating and implementing new curses, such as running curses in your game, and best practices for handling the remove curse spell, a new system of curse rights, which looks like they're artisans and enchanters who can tame the power of a cursed magic item. That's super helpful too. You can even get a bundle with a curse bearer fighter subclass. So check that out after you click our link. Looking inside, there are a lot of curses that you get to read, because this is 8 pages of the 34, but there's still a lot in here that you can read. So you can see all the different curses, curse-wrought magic items, and just how to handling remove curse. I just think it's just automatic, right? So having more details on how that works is going to be so much better. So it says here, remove curse as finisher. For your game, you might decide that remove curse only functions if the other conditions for ending the curse have been met. This makes it important without removing a sense of adventure. Remove curse as a stopgap. Perhaps instead of completely removing all curses, remove curse suspends the effects of the curse for 24 hours. This ongoing spell slot drain makes living with the curse more manageable, but still challenging. So that's just 2. There's at least 6 different options here, maybe 7. So it's fleshing out curses. I mean, curses should be memorable. We don't have curses in real life, or we do, but they're just not like this, right? They're uncommon. You never hear about them that much. Whereas in D&D, they should be commonplace, or a moment of true role play opportunity for you. So it gives you some minor curse effects, like a tally mark appears on your body each time you lie. They begin on your forehead and work down from there to cover your whole body. The tally resets at dawn each day. You have disadvantage on persuasion and deception checks against creatures that can see any of the tallies. And then removing a minor curse, information on that. And there's this thing called Jinx, which is a first level necromancy. And then you get into the curses. And so we'll just read a couple curses here, because I want you to come check it out yourself. It says, Curse of the Aviculturist. When you are reduced to 0 hit points, you turn into a paper bird under the DM's control. It behaves as if it was a mundane bird. The transformation lasts for 1 hour, at which point you return to your normal form, unconscious but stable. You also return to your normal form if the bird is reduced to 0 hit points, at which point you are unconscious and resume death saving throws. So that could be interesting. All of a sudden turn into this sort of origami bird, and have to deal with that for an hour. Curse of the Baleful Chemist. When you drink a potion of healing, any rarity, roll a d100. On a 1 or less, it actually is a potion of poison. Each time you drink a potion of healing, it isn't a potion of poison, the target number increases by 1. So the next time would be on a 2 or less, or a 3 or less, right? And so you can start to see how these potions become deadly for you when they're not supposed to be. So really, really cool. I love this. And I think it'd just be so much fun to play around with all these different curses. And you can slap these onto magic items. You can have a character that curses people with their evil eye or whatever. I mean, there's so many opportunities to explore this. So check it out. It's in the links below under Ybloc's Book of Cruel Curses. Give it a click. That's our last DM's Guild title for the week. Before we move on to DriveThruRPG, please consider subscribing to the channel, liking the video for the algorithm, leaving us a comment. I'll respond to all those personally. And follow us everywhere at Splinterverse. We've got a massive Dragonlance book coming out later this year, and I can't wait to start sharing all the details with you, but it's going to have a lot of stuff for DMs and players, so you're going to want to find out more about that. And Of course, you should consider purchasing all of the books that we've covered in today's episode. They're all linked in the video description and the pinned comment. And if you purchase anything after you click those links, you're going to be helping the channel with a small affiliate fee as well. And if you really want to help, we have 6 books we've already released that you can find out about at splinterverse.com or in the links below as well. We've got Swarms of the Multiverse, which is over 180 pages in print or digital, devoted to swarms and the mechanics of them, including new ways to use them, how to create balanced swarms of your own, 70 new creatures that have some sort of connection to swarms. Either they form swarms, they control swarms, or they summon swarms. Whatever the connection is, we've got their individual stat block plus the swarm stat block and a whole host of lore and related materials, including magic items, demi-planes, diseases, factions, all connected to these monsters, so you can really integrate them into your campaign, as well as adventure hooks. There's over 150 adventure hooks in the book, so make sure you check that out. It's in the link below, along with our platinum best-selling Feywild Companion, which is over 150 pages of Fey fun, including adventures, a brand new domain of delight, subclasses for every single class, spells, monsters, encounters, even a brand new type of consumable, and VTT maps, tokens, all that good stuff, even though it's print or digital. And we've got Fizban's Vaulted Draconic Secrets, which is devoted to dragon stuff, including a subclass that's dragon themed for every single class, as well as spells, magic items, horde magic items, draconic secrets, a familiar, trinkets, and adventure hooks for everything in the book, so that the DM can integrate all the player options as well. Then we've got Van Richten's Librum of Lineages, which gives you 4 distinct conflict-driven lineages using the new mechanic introduced in Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft. And despite its title, this book is useful for any setting, because you can integrate these lineages there or use the optional rules that we include to figure out how to string lineages together or remove them if you have a character or player that's tired of the lineage and you want to mix it up a little bit. Then we got Potions Unlocked, which is over 100 pages, print or digital, devoted to making potions an integral part of your campaign. No longer just, oh, I take a potion of healing. There's all this additional optional rules that you can use to bring potions to life, whether it's the taste, the smell, even origin stories for all the brand new potions we introduce in the book with gorgeous artwork, so that you can have a vendor relate the origin story, or you can work the origin story into an encounter or just a backstory for your setting. Plus, there's all these vendors in there that have full inventories of potions they sell, and we have maps of potion stores and a school where you can learn potions, so you can integrate that with Strixhaven if you want, or somewhere else that you need a school. So all sorts of goodies that you can use to just bring a little bit of potions into your life. And with Halloween approaching, potions can be really fun. In fact, the book includes a part that you can do live on your table using props for one of the potions that we have in there. That could be a lot of fun as well. So check it out for Halloween. And then we've got Secrets of the Draugr, our other book, which is devoted to a brand new race that combines the best of the Draugr, or I should say, the Duergar with the Drow. And you get to learn about this new race and their culture and their special deities that they have and how they tell fortunes, and 2 subclasses that connect to them, NPCs, all sorts of fun stuff. So that's linked as well. So that's just the 6 that we've done so far. As I said, we've got a massive Dragonlance book that we've been working on for over 6 months, and I can't wait to share it with you later this year. So you're going to want to stay tuned for that. All right, that's my spiel for this week. Let's move on to DriveThruRPG. First, we have Extreme Encounters, Weather and Terrain Unearthly Omnibus from MageGate Games. It's $14.99 for 64 pages, 5th edition, and it says create monster layers in minutes. These are quick, easy templates to spice up encounters, travel, and boss fights in a variety of weather and terrain, and it covers 5 different types, including acid, necrotic, poison, radiant, and spirit. They also give you options to increase the threat level of magical terrains right down to granting hostile creatures in them limited spell lists or other fun terrain-themed abilities. So previously they had released each of these, Acid, Necrotic, etc., as individual volumes. Now they're collected together in one book, which is really handy, I think, and a good deal to get them all together. And I really like this series because I feel like it gives you the options to do really cool layers. It gives you the options to do planner experiences. It gives you the option to make even just the material plane a little bit more fantastical based on maybe you just have a small little area that has some of these effects going on. And so many of the effects shown in here, you can just pull out one piece because they give you so many different ways to make an area have that feeling of being very necrotic or very radiant. And so if you want to just even take one of these effects and put it on an NPC or put it on a prison cell or, you know, some magical spot like around a chest that they have to open, then you have that option because this book is filled with so many different ways to transform an area. So they give you the rules and how things work, and then it goes right into Acid in the 12 pages that you get to see. So this one particular terrain is called Acidic Slime, and it says an area filled with acidic slime. It may be the work of god of oozes, a great old one, or the byproduct of a congregation of aberrations or oozes, or the result of an altar, artifact, idol, or relic that has been activated or installed somewhere, right? So again, lots and lots of ways to incorporate this. And then it's got an area of effect, which can be any, usually confined to a cave complex, ruins, shrine. So you could have the whole dungeon have this if you wanted, right? It could cover almost every surface or be a clear path of slime trails made by creatures, or it could fill up like pits. So you could have like an acidic pit or an acid pit. Underground river made of slime. So they're giving you lots of options. I think this will also stimulate you if you like to homebrew your own little settings or locations. Expanded area of effect, you can expand it, have it creeping outward, which could be a threat as well. It says if you make a DC 10 perception, nature, or survival check, you can recognize the transition from normal to difficult terrain. If you succeed, you may stop before entering it. And it talks about how to dispel potentially parts of it or dealing with that. You move at half speed in this terrain. If you move faster, you take acid damage. Aberrations and oozes, though, they move through it at normal speed. So that could be really good for combat if you're going to have some oozes be the creature types that you're dealing with. Then it says all acid magic has its DC increased by +2. So that means even if the players cast a spell that involves acid and has a DC that's going to increase, and it also deals an extra 1d6 acid damage, regardless of whether the save is successful or not. So even if it's a spell that says, you know, on a failure or on a success, you take half the damage. Well, it'd be half the damage plus 1d6 because this is a very acidic environment and it's firing on all cylinders, anything related to acid, right? Tracking and stealth rolls suffer disadvantage due to the same aberrations and oozes gain advantage. It says any non-glass or non-magical item dropped into the slime is destroyed in 3 rounds if not removed and cleaned off. Retrieving an item out of the slime requires a successful perception check. Likewise, any pits, pressure plates, or ground level traps covered by slime increase the DC to spot them by 2. So you can see how just layering this on top of something else. Let's say that you have a dungeon you made that you're really proud of, that you love, and you want to run it again, but you feel like, I've run it so many times, or they've seen this. Well, what if you just layer this stuff on top of it? Well, then you have a lot of the same, sort of floor plan, I guess, but you've got these different effects happening. I love this. If you drop something in it, you only have so much time to pick it back up and clean it off, or it's toast. It's gone. It's absorbed into the slime or broken down or whatever happens. And it says the boss fight, the primary monster villain in this terrain gains acidic aura, so it gets this additional effect here. Non-aberrations and non-oozes within 30 feet of it take 1 point of acid damage per round. This damage is in addition to any similar abilities, traits, or powers the monster or villain has. Valid targets within 5 feet of the acidic aura take 2 points of acid damage per round instead. So again, if you already had a boss, you can apply this on top of it, or you can take that final boss out of this existing dungeon and plop in some big ooze that you want to have as the boss and then give it this effect, right? So lots and lots of choices. And then there's also terrain anchors, which could be the cause of this terrain, and so that's a way to defeat this maybe. Duration, options to increase the threat like acidic fury, acid fingers, for example. Any hostile creatures encountered in this terrain know acid splash, so they could cast that. Just acid drip, acid tunnel. I mean, it's here. And then you've got slippery slime, which is another acid type of environment. So it could be a little different, made of oily, acidic slime that eats flesh but not items. So many options. And like I said, you could just take one little effect out of here. You could take that boss effect out of here and apply it somewhere. You don't have to apply every single thing on these pages. So really, really, really cool. They even have a section where they're talking about acid magic items from their other books, things that are related. So obviously the Medallion of Acid would be a perfect fit for this, if you get that from one of their past books as well. So really enjoying this. Think it's great. There's even a Cloak of Ooze here, wondrous item that's rare. Belt of the Summoned Lord. Just a lot of value in here. I mean, think about it. $14.99, you're going to get 64 pages of stuff that you can use to really change either a creature, a small area, or a vast area. Like I said, you can make this a whole plane or a demi-plane. So I think that's great. It's really hard to make things seem fantastical. If you're not able to really just quickly describe the areas, oh, there's this, there's that, there's, and it just sounds like normal. Oh, there's a log, there's a rock, there's a bush. It just gets kind of boring. But with books like this, you can say, oh, well, there's this river of slime going through, right? So fun. I think you need to get it. Look for it in the video description links under Extreme Encounters, Weather and Terrain Unearthly Omnibus, and give it a click. Next we have Frostbitten to Death by Elvin Tower and Tom Cardos. It's a level 7 adventure that's a one-shot, and it's free. We've covered Elvin Tower a lot of times, and they have so much good stuff, and this one looks like another home run from them. And I love that it's free. I'm excited when I get to bring free titles to you as well, because, I mean, why not grab that? If it's free, all you need to do is think about hard drive space, and these PDFs are so small, you've got plenty of room for this. So it looks like it's 8 pages, and it says it's a supplement and special collaboration with another creator. And in this particular adventure, a group of level 7 adventurers travel to Frost Peak, one of the largest northern cities and the capital of the Wide Horizon territories. They may be hired to investigate a series of murders in the city's surroundings or get involved in these crimes on their way to the capital. Their decisions will dictate how this adventure ends and who gets to live or not. The culprit for the recent attacks on travelers and merchants is Rivnar, the king's son. In a horrible turn of events, he froze to death in the tundra after failing to track some orcs that raided Frost Peak citizens. The heroes may be aware of the prince's death, but they have no way of knowing he is the murderer behind the crime scenes. So it takes the heroes to an underground ancient Duergar crypt. There they must confront the frozen prince and the undead he woke. Perhaps there is still hope for the prince's soul to find peace in the afterlife. Explore fantasy worlds and immersive adventures with this product. And it's got printer-friendly black and white PDF, high-res map files, and I mean, all of this is free. So I really think there's no reason not to grab this. But we're going to keep looking at some of this so that you can get a feel. Again, I really think that Elven Tower does quality products for such a low price, and I think that's great. Look at this fun map you're going to get. This is kind of a snowy terrain, so you could use this for the Rime of the Frost Maiden if you need a map. The reusability of these maps is great. Look at this one. Here's a campsite in sort of a snowy tundra-like area. So again, Rime of the Frost Maiden reusability. Here's some sort of underground crypt. That looks really cool. I love all these creatures with the glowing red eyes on the back of that. Fun stuff. Wonderful layout. And as always, just looks really cool. So let's read a little bit about, let's find a little part in the middle this time. So we'll do the Prince Apparition. An avatar specter sent by the prince emerges to attack the characters during the storm's last hour. This same encounter occurs if the characters decide not to make camp and continue traveling east. A hulking frozen skeleton with bloody limbs floats 60 feet above the characters. A moment later, a pack of ravenous undead emerges from the thick mist behind, and the undead abominations fight to the death. So they have to defeat this wraith, zombies, ghosts, ghasts, and 4 shadows. I mean, this is a lot of stuff they're going to be going up against, but that's pretty cool. It's all different undead things all at once. That could be fun. A lot of times it's just a bunch of zombies or a bunch of ghosts or something, right? And it's nice to have a mixture. So then they have a conclusion where it talks about the different ways that it could happen. And then let's scroll up here and read a little bit about 4, because that's where all these little red eyes are. So it says, confronting the prince. The westernmost end of the crypt is a scene from a nightmare. The eyes of every stone skeleton and ghoul glow with crimson red, each evil face a vessel, and their bodies fused in twisted, deformed ways. That's cool. Thick mist pours from the statues' mouths and coalesces into a humanoid shape floating 20 feet in the air. Rivnar, the frozen prince, he wishes to parley and negotiate. Otherwise, the frozen prince is ready to fight as well. So, some options for the characters to make there at the end. Are they going to fight? Are they going to parlay? What's going to happen? I love it, and I can't believe it's free. Just even for the maps alone, the Elven Tower price point is always worth it. But in this case, it's incredibly worth it because it's free. So you got to grab it. It's in the links below under Frostbitten to Death. Give it a click. Next, we have Heresy of Rot from Necromancer Games, $13.99 for 37 pages, 5th edition, of course. Greetings, children of the grave, and happy Frogoween. It is I, your host and guide into the unknown, Samhain. Won't you join me? So they're having fun with some Halloween stuff. It's really cool, and I love that it's Frogoween in the character's voice, because then you can use it any time of year. Maybe Frogoween's a different part of the year, right? Or it could be Halloween in your campaign when it's July in the real world. Whatever you want to do. I think this looks really fun. Could be perfect for Ravenloft or just even anywhere that you need some spooky goodness. It says, tonight's entry into the unknown brings you a tale of woe from the Wilderland's frontier. A shadowy cult preys on the folk of the unsuspecting town of Fetterwald. As a supernatural terror stalks the cornfields. And what lies within the lonely grave of Dr. Coffin? A ruined man holds a dark secret while a horror beyond imagining wakes in a nightmarish dream world. Will your characters be too late to stop it? Now lie back in your coffins and enjoy a sip of this frogalicious witch's brew. It's sure to absolutely petrify your nerves. So it's an adventure for 4 to 6 players of 4 to 6 level. High tier 1 or low tier 2, whichever you want to do. So very cool. And you can see here the table of contents. They got it broken down, gives you background, goes into the different parts of the adventure all the way up to part 6, and then they have a section on consequences and further adventures, and then you got the magical items like the bone planchette of Dr. Coffin. That could be really awesome because that's like something you would use for maybe like a Ouija board. Harvester of Sorrow, Hat of the Medium, and then monsters and hazards. They have the Pumpkin Cultist, Pumpkin Creeper, Rot King, Rot Zombie, Tombstone Elemental, and a bunch of others. So very, very cool. And it starts right away with just a really fun graphic. Looks like this character is talking about Frogoween, and he's named Samhain, which is another name for Halloween. So really cool. and it gives you some background of things that might have already happened, and then adventure summary, and then adapting it for other settings and other levels. And then getting started gets into the encounters and bad omens. We're going to read a little bit of that. Fetterwald, the town that dreaded tomorrow. I mean, this is so cool. It just feels so Halloween-y, which I love. And Halloween's just around the corner here. It says, bad omens, doom has come to Fetterwald as Winterfell approaches. A bleak hour is close at hand. A bad omen is imparted on a character when an event tainted by evil or the supernatural or both occurs. These specific events are found throughout the adventure. The effects of bad omens are as follows. So, number 1, a result of a bad omen, the next saving throw by a character is made with disadvantage. Or 2, the next saving throw by an afflicted character automatically fails. Or 3 or more, the character is unlucky and automatically fails their next saving throw. All friendly creatures within 30 feet have disadvantage on their next one. So yeah, it's definitely giving you that feel of like a bad omen because it's messing with your good luck, right? It says bad omens are hard to shake. Spells and effects like remove curse may remove them, but it is a spell magic or its equivalent cannot. Otherwise, the only way to rid oneself of a bad omen is to ride out its effects. So yeah, I like that. It's going to sort of have a different feel than just running through an adventure with your normal advantage, disadvantage, etc. Especially if you have a party that's like got lots of advantages, this could really help bring it down a notch. So I like that. So it says Fetterwald is a town that has seen better days. While it has not fallen into ruin like so many other border settlements, a palpable air of lingering fear hangs over it because of the machinations of the Heresy of Rot and the sudden appearance of the horsemen. Fetterwald feels doomed, and the folk who live there reflect it. The town has a stout wall of cut timbers around it, but there are no guards to speak of left to reinforce the partitions. The roads are unpaved, packed dirt along a scenic but wild countryside. The buildings are maintained as best the local folk know how, though a few have a ramshackle appearance that led many to believe the town is full of yokels and bumpkins. In the past, many caravan masters considered it a stopover town, which allowed fresh supplies, new faces, and rumors of the greater world to filter in. It has endured wars, raids, and other conflicts over the years, but the survivors always rebuilt their home. So then it goes into their population, their economy, their law, notable wizards, society, notable guilds, notable temples, inns, taverns. I mean, they've covered it for you. And again, there's just so much, like, there's a choir of ghostly children. It says a small group of 3d6 plus 3 children robed in white gowns are softly singing religious hymns in an otherwise abandoned space, such as a field, a side of the road, a hilltop, etc. They are heard long before they are seen. When the moon shines directly on them, the odor of smoke and burning flesh fills the air, and they are revealed to be bony, blackened abominations standing in a burned-down ruin. If attacked, they erupt in a tiny column of flame and burn out in a single round, leaving cinders swirling behind in the air and imparting a bad omen. If carefully approached, they may impart a clue or information which is left to your discretion. If the area is searched, the remains of a church, shrine, or schoolhouse of some sort could be found. The structure burned down many years ago. So that's really cool. It's spooky. It's an encounter, but it's not necessarily combat. It brings out the bad omen stuff we talked about earlier. I love it. I mean, everything I'm reading in here just oozes Halloween, or like a Ravenloft area, a Domain of Dread. I mean, you could just have so much fun with this any time of year. So I think you need to get it. It's in the links below under Heresy of Rot. Give it a click. Next we have Maddo and Verez, Mercenary Company Captains. And it's from 𝙤𝙤𝙬𝙯 and Cliff Dunn. It's $1.99 for 22 pages. This is the kingdoms, city-states, and fledgling empires of the world of Xul are in a near constant state of growth, contraction, and warfare. The presence of the sworn swords of a mercenary company, or 3, can make the difference between a king sleeping soundly at night or having an uneasy head with a wobbly crown. Maddo and Verez are mercenary captains serving with the Invincible Company, one of Xul's most notorious free companies. They have come to Vadashar on a recruiting mission for a new mercenary talent. but there's always something hidden in everyone's agenda when they come to Vateshar. In this case, it could bring change to the entire free city. So you get the 3 NPCs, a history of the mercenary free companies in the world of Xul, and a system to determine whether a recruit gets accepted into a mercenary company, pay scales for sellsword mercenaries, adventure hooks, and of course background on this setting. So we've talked previously about 𝙤𝙤𝙬𝙧 stuff. It's a drip release strategy where they're releasing just a little bit about the free city of Vateshar, the mega continent of Xul, every week or so that you can get used to the campaign setting and just kind of really truly absorb it, rather than getting a big book where you skim through it and you just don't get everything. And also so that you can start to use some of these in other settings, or your own homebrew location as well, because you can plug and play all of this stuff. So very, very cool. Let's take a look inside. So it talks about the mercenary captains, and then you're going to find out about the companies. And what I like is this notion of a rule book for how to determine whether somebody gets accepted into a mercenary company or not. So I'm just scrolling through as I'm talking here, but you can see you've got the stat blocks for each of them. So you got Verez and Maddo's stat blocks in here, and you've got somebody called Ylboc cohort adjutant. She's a CR4. So you're getting a variety of stat blocks, and then you're getting these long adventure hooks, which are always super helpful. And you get to see the whole book as you scroll through. So it's really helpful to look through and see what you think. Learn about Maddo, learn about Verez, and see if these characters, CR4 for Maddo, are going to work for you in your campaign. So here are some of the tables. Let's see what this table's about. It looks like it could be the free companies. So they got types, scouts, engineers, and what their monthly wage scales are. It says the traditional monthly pay scales calculated in gold derricks for a mercenary in the world of Xul. So if you're a scout and you're level 0 to 3, you could get like 6 of these gold derricks. If you're a fract, you get 30 of those gold derricks per month, and then it goes up to experience, so all the levels all the way to elite. So 12 plus, you could get up to like 300 per month for being that type of mercenary. So that's super helpful, and just having that background on how to deal with mercenaries, how to accept them or not accept them into the program. That could be used outside of Mega Continent of Xul and Free City of Vateshar, right? But it says here, bands of organized mercenaries first appeared across the Mega Continent in the chaos that followed the fall of the giant kings during the endless centuries-long conflict known as the Anarchy. With the rise of the independent city-states and later, larger nation-states like the Corunian Empire, mercenary companies were integrated into the armies of regional and local kings and queens. These seasoned troops were both organized and highly mobile, providing a valuable advantage during the wars of the era. They became important elements in the armies of the first and second houses of the kings of Vateshar and the rulers of other city-states of the Valley of Khalif. So there's a lot of lore with these books too. So if you really are interested in Mega Continent of Xul and Free City of Vateshar, you're going to get so much lore and history, which I think is invaluable, especially getting to absorb it in this way, because if you're like me, you get a big massive supplement that's a setting supplement, you're going to just skim it. It's hard to read it cover to cover, right? So this gives you another way to absorb it. So Verez, it says the infantry mercenary commander Verez was born at Asona in Sargosa, a member of the warrior aristocracy descended from the counts of Asona. In his youth, Verez pursued the traditional Sargosian vocation of sea raiding and plundering along the Ferdonian and Garibi coasts. He sailed with a corsair raider, gaining for himself a reputation as a merciless boarding crew member who gave no quarter nor asked for it. Verez was known to push surrendered enemy crew members overboard to a watery end. He eventually rose to command of the Corsair's boarding crews and acquired for himself a small fortune. So he's pushing prisoners of war over the overboard. So he's not necessarily the best guy, but it's cool. You need people like that. You need to populate your world with all different types of people, and it's exciting to see that these are so fleshed out. I mean, this series gives you such fleshed out NPCs. So if you want some that are just truly defined, I think this series is good. And a low price point, $1.99. So check it out under Maddo and Verez in the links below. Give it a click. Next, we have Misadventure at the Merry Marionette for 5th edition from Ansvar Productions. And it says, with this installment in our one and done adventure series, you and your players can enjoy a scary evening investigating a string of missing children and finishing off the evil behind the disappearances. It's a 4th level adventure designed to be played in a single session. It can be dropped into almost any game with minimal modification, featuring a new monster, the Collector, and several new magic items, as well as 2 full-size maps for use with your favorite VTT program. And I should point out they also offer a Pathfinder 7th level version, and there's a link to it here. So if you click our link and then click that link, you'll get the 7th level version. But really cool to give both options like that. And so this is 17 pages for $3.95. And inside you can see they talk about, the concept of one and done, so like one shots, and then adventure background and summary, and then part 1, part 2, part 3, and concluding the adventure, and then an appendix with monsters. So very cool. And it's just really cool that they're giving you this right in time for Halloween to have some fun. You can drop this in. I think, again, with these low price points at $3.95, you can have this on hand anytime. You never know when somebody's not going to show up, or you're going to have an opportunity to have a spontaneous game of D&D. And so books like this, where the prep is really, really low and everything's there for you and it's all self-contained, they can be really good way to have, the spontaneous D&D experience. So it talks about information gathering, looking for links. The 4 families affected by the kidnappings are listed below, along with details available for the adventurers to discover with each interview. So you can basically interview different families involved, and that could be really fun. It gives you, persuasion check information to see what you're going to learn. And I think that's fun, investigating. And then they get the playhouse here. It says, if the adventurers inquire around town about the business, any resident will tell them Ina Orteco had been running it for about a year. There are shows every Friday and Saturday night. Ina's puppets are works of art, and the playhouse is located near the river at the east end of town. And so the read aloud text says, the recently renovated playhouse is grand, colorful building, which looks out of place amid the old warehouses, rundown shacks, and tanning buildings near the river. So so the characters could even wonder, why is it in this particular part of town? This says, if the adventurers visit the playhouse during non-production hours, Ina is not present, but her minion, Vec, an invisible imp, is on watch, and he will take note of the adventurers without revealing himself and immediately fetch Ina. Finding Ina in town takes a bit of time. Vec and Ina will return to the playhouse just in time to encounter the adventurers returning from the demiplane with the children. So there's a demiplane involved in these children being kidnapped. And so you've got a map here. It's a cool looking map. Then you got the demiplane. It says, as soon as your hand touches the puppet of a child character from one of the fairy tales, you experience a sensation of falling, and you see only black. Within seconds, your surroundings have changed. You're no longer in the playhouse. You are in a small square room with 4 barred doors. Uh-oh. That's not good. Or maybe it's good. Maybe that's how you're getting to the bottom of it. So this might be the demiplane. It says Little Red Riding Hood room, Rumpelstiltskin room, Jack and the Beanstalk room, Hansel and Gretel room. And then there's a map of the theater in here as well, which, again, reusability for these maps, great. Dealing with Ina. And then it says, Ina will be able to sense the collapse of her demiplane. She'll be furious and will want to destroy the individuals responsible. So you got to rescue these kids, I guess. You got to collapse the demiplane, and then, of course, face Ina in the final battle. And there's something called a torque of truth-telling. The bearer of this torque can use an action to designate one living creature within 60 feet. The torque takes flight and attaches to the target's neck for 1 minute or until the torque-attuned owner recalls it, whichever comes first. Every time a wearer of the torque attempts to speak or answer a question, it must make a successful DC 15 charisma saving throw or be compelled to answer truthfully. The torque's attuned owner automatically knows if the saving throw was successful or not. The torque can't be removed by magical means, but a creature can use this action to attempt a successful DC 30 strength check to remove it. The Torque has 3 total uses. Once used, the Torque loses all of its magical properties and becomes an ordinary gold Torque with 500 GP. So yeah, that could be super helpful. Get some truth out of people. And yeah, and then it becomes valuable when it runs out of steam, so that's helpful too. But yeah, you see some fun stat blocks here at the end. Yeah, you're getting to see the whole book here in the preview. So this is another one. I mean, you owe it to yourself to come here, read through it, see if you want to play this, and then give it a purchase. When you have the whole book to read, there's really no excuse not to check it out if you're a DM or want to do that. So I like this. I think gorgeous artwork and nice maps that you can use, and just a fun story. I love demi-planes, and just looks like it could be a good time, and the reusability of the maps too. Great job on this. So anyway, check it out. Misadventure at the Merry Marionette in the links below. Give it a click. Next we have Planes Unknown, Witch Tree, the Hidden Plane, a new plane to explore for 5th edition from Underground Oracle Publishing, $4.99 for 15 pages. Authors Keith Penley and Jess Penley. And it says a distant cosmic melody fills the twilight-tinged skies, blending pleasantly into the ambient noise rising up from the bustling streets. Merchants haggle loudly with patrons as strange and varied as the goods hanging from their stalls, as cries of triumph and defeat ring out from the packed arena, nearly drowning out the sounds of music and revelry coming from the adjacent house of entertainment. This is Witch Tree, the Hidden Plane, a hot spot of travel for those with the right connections. Anything that an offbeat caster desires can be found within the boundaries of Witch Tree, whether that be tutelage in the Eldritch Arts, a rare alchemical component, or simply a good place to blow off steam without worrying about disconnecting the locals or disconcerting the locals. Witch Tree is the peculiar haven that warlocks dream of. So you get the origins of it, points of interest around it, important NPCs, maps, and then you get some more like specific spells and some illicit boons and harvestable materials, among other things. So we get to see 5 of the 15 pages. So you get the origins, meeting of the minds, accessing Witch Tree, topography, the bridgeways, and then here's a really cool map. I love this. So there's a whole map of this plane, so you can see where everything is, and really explore the whole thing. I mean, why not? You've got everything here for you. So love this map. And let's read a little bit about the bridgeways. So one of Witch Tree's most important assets, the bridgeways, provide a portal back to the prime material, as well as access to 6 other more exotic planes that are often of interest to enterprising witches and dimensional travelers. By utilizing 7 large planar stones, crystals of indeterminate origin bound to the Witch Tree by Sassador and Old Mother, up to 8 people at one time can take a one-way trip through these gates to their destination of choice. Of course, like many of the special resources available on Witch Tree, using the Bridgeways isn't cheap, although anyone can portal back to the prime material for free, often shortened to Primat by locals. Use of the 6 other planar stones requires payment to and special permission from Old Mother, Sessador, or Keeley Gales. One noticeable quirk of the Bridgeways is that the area is always influenced and slightly altered by the last portal that was opened. As this is most often the prime material, it has little impact on the surroundings. But when someone passes through to one of the more extraordinary planes, the effects on the foliage, air, and structure of the bridgeways itself are apparent and fairly easy to trace for those with planar knowledge. So pretty cool. And then let's see, costs in Witch Tree. So this is the below locations offer reference special services and resources that come at a price. While gold and jewels are certainly spendable and have their place on Witch Tree, the more extraordinary an offer is, the more unusual or taxing the price may be for visitors. This could be in the form of a request for life force or magic items, or the completion of a dangerous or clandestine task. So you can get creative, kind of like in the Feywild, they want, a secret or something from you that is, you can't get back. You could do something similar to that here, but this says, magic items is something, or life force. So pretty cool. But it says, the pocket plane Witch Tree and all of the wonders that it holds within it can be directly attributed to the mad genius and enviable luck of one very questionable man, the warlock 𝘎𝑒𝑠𝑖𝑑or. While on the run from local authorities or from the crown or from one of his many individual enemies, time has lost that specific detail, and 𝘎𝑒𝑠𝑖𝑑or isn't the most reliable narrator of his own ever-changing stories. 𝘎𝑒𝑠𝑖𝑑or decided to use one of his many acquired gifts to dip into an adjacent plane. He expected to find himself on Pith, where he could easily slide into the next plane that tickled his fancy. Instead, much to his chaotic delight, he found himself somewhere very unexpected. So that's kind of how the Witch Tree plane started, and there's a lot more to it that you can come here and read. But yeah, it just seems like a fun place to go. I absolutely love that there's a map of the entirety of it, and we're only getting to read a little bit in the preview because it's only 5 pages of the 15. So if you get this for the $4.99, you're going to get all of these places spelled out. They're going to tell you what the Crone's Post is, and the Witch's Quarters, and the Guardian's Towers, and all that stuff. We talked about the Bridgeways, which is the portals elsewhere. But yeah, there's going to be lots of fun stuff to explore. So look for it in the links below under Planes Unknown and give it a click. Next, we have Sea King's Malice by Alex Kammer for Frog God Games. And it's $22.49 for 144 pages. It says, in the murky depths sits a brooding menace, ancient, indescribably evil, and ravenously hungry. Perched on his massive throne, the Sea King dreams of his massive jaws bathing in runnels of fresh land dweller blood. He dreams of ecstasy of rending air breather flesh. His hate-filled dreams suffuse him with visions of presiding over a glorious and bloody feast where his despised enemies, those both above and below the waves, drown in a tide of their own blood, torn apart by his fierce warriors. Well, he seems like just an absolute fun, joyous guy, doesn't he? No, it's good. We need enemies that are all about the flesh and the blood, right? It says, in this sprawling adventure, the characters will come face to face with this terrible menace. Only the most stalwart and bravest of heroes will have any chance of surviving the hazards of the open sea and the perils of other strange and yet unknown lands both above and below the waves, as they search for clues surrounding the disappearance of the missing ship. For in the sea-green depths, a brooding menace awaits them. Filled with inhuman hatred of all things of the surface world, the adventurer's journey will end one way or the other in the court of the terrifying Sea King. The Edge of Your Seat 5th edition adventure takes characters to level 10 and is also available for Swords and Wizardry. So if you're looking for that, they have a link as well to get the Swords and Wizardry version. So very cool. I love when books are available in multiple editions. So cool. So you've got different chapters here for the adventures, including something called Crocodile Island, which sounds fun. So it goes all the way to chapter 5, and then there's a gazetteer at the end, glossary of magic items, nautical terms, Sea King's bestiary, and a ship registry, as well as some handouts and player maps. So lots of stuff for you in here. Really, really cool. I love that. Says the days of the week in the Lost Lands. So you're basically getting a setting here as well. So there's this Lost Lands area, and it says running the adventure, gives you some hooks, character advancement, cast of characters. I mean, this looks so cool. But let's look up here at the days of the week a little bit. So they have Solstag, Ardsdag, Djinstag, Mootstag. That's cool. The names are really cool. So Dag is basically the equivalent of day. Yeah, you could get easily used to saying those, as a DM or whatever. And this map looks cool. I love the hexes. Hex maps are fun. And then it says running the adventure hooks, hungry for work. At 3rd level, the characters are looking for real adventuring work. While asking around virtually anywhere in town nets the characters this usual sort of advice that many farms are hiring farmhands, and the galley's hands are always looking for some stout oarsmen. They quickly learn of a rumor around town that Jackson Brand of Zephyr Assimilated is looking to put together an expedition to search for a lost ship. So ultimately, you need to get the characters looking to search for a lost ship. So that's one option, is looking for work. And then they have another one, which I won't read to you. You can read that on your own. But it's nice that they're giving you options here. Then you got a cast of characters, including the Baron of Bridgeport and some other fun stuff. It says, after arriving at Crocodile Island, the characters find the missing Zephyr at anchor and completely empty of life. They discover signs of a combat on the ship that likely involves Sulhagen, but find no sign of the missing crew or Captain Elisa Brand. However, they do find that Elisa mounted an away team to explore the island. Having no other leads at this point, the characters go ashore and find the trail of the Zephyr's away team. The party has a series of encounters on this dangerous and tropical island while following Elisa Brand's trail, including an odd talk with a volcano giant and the possibility of locating now long dead maroon sailor's lair. So that's really cool. You gotta find the away team. They've gone off somewhere on this island. You're going to have a bunch of encounters, including talking to a volcano giant. And then we know eventually they're going to come face to face with the Sea King, which is really cool. And there's more here that you can read, and I want you to come check this out because I think this could be really fun. You can have some nautical stuff going on. You have a setting that you can explore with the barons, and just you could connect this upper part of the map to anything, or the sides of the map to anything that you've built already, and just there's no harm in taking your homebrew setting and sort of appending other settings onto it. Just because a book comes out and says, oh, this is the Forgotten Realms and this is the whole map, doesn't mean you can't take a section of an established setting or a book like this where they're just giving you a partial map and just annex it, put it right on your map, and this extends. You don't have to design every inch of your map. I mean, unless you're planning on publishing it for others, you should take advantage of some of these third-party books like this. This looks really cool. I love all the different terrains on this map, and all the different options, and the whole days of the week renames, even if you just use those. Very cool. So fun stuff in here. I think you're gonna love it. I mean, look at this cover. I mean, underwater area looks really cool. So check it out. It's under Sea King's Malice in the links below. Give it a click. Next, we have Squirrel's Wild Shape cards, 50 Druid Wild Shape card stat cards. And it's the core collection. So it's giving you CR 0 to 6. And it's you can get the watermark PDF for $10, or you can get actual printed cards for $20, or you can get both for $25. So depending on what you want to do, I think it's awesome when you can get actual printed cards. So I think that would be a really cool steal. If you're always playing Druids, if you've got a player that's always playing Druids, maybe you have a player that has been at your table a long time, always plays Druids, always has Wild Shape going on. This could be a gift. This could be a gift for that player. The holidays are coming, or maybe you have a friend who's just always playing Druid. Maybe you don't get to play with them. They're busy, on their own table. And this could be a way that you could share that D&D fun by you give them this little pack of cards for the holidays, or just a birthday gift or whatever. Or just an out of the blue gift. I think out of the blue gifts sometimes are the best, because it's showing that you're thinking of somebody and that you didn't need an occasion to do it. So very cool. But it's just really fun. Or maybe like it says here, maybe you have some Druid NPCs that you want to just use this for, to not have to look it up all the time. You're getting these little stat blocks for these creatures that you can wild shape into. And it's really easy to read. They're color coded, so the land is sort of this brown border that we're seeing for the squirrel here. Then you got water, which is blue, green for air, and illustrations of all of them. And another thing is, if you're a DM, maybe you have a newer player that's playing Druid and they're getting confused and is just like, it's overwhelming. Sliding one of these cards over and say, well, why don't you look at these? Do these help? Can you pick one of these? And and then they get excited by looking at the pictures and the cute artwork. It can be a way to help keep that new player interested. Give them something to flip through while they're waiting for their turn. Maybe they look at some of the other stat blocks and they go, oh, next time I want to turn into a Velociraptor or a Direwolf, or, putting it all on these little cards is just so helpful. You don't want to have to constantly be on your phone looking up the stats or printing it out or whatever, when you can have these beautiful cards. And as a card deck, I mean, these are reusable. It's not like you use it once and it goes away, right? You're going to have these solid, sturdy little printed cards, or you can print them off, whatever you want to do. And just keep coming back to, dealing with the octopus or the direwolf or the giant toad or the fire elemental or whatever, right? They're all in here. There's 34 land, 6 water, and 10 air options. So very, very cool. And it looks like, the Ankylosaurus is a homebrew one. So some of these, and the Velociraptor is a homebrew one. Some of these are going to be SRD creatures. Some are going to be new. So that's really cool. It's nice that they're giving you all of these options. So look for it in the links below under Squirrel's Wild Shape Cards and give it a click. Next, we have Tools of the Trade by Air Pockley. It's $8.95 for 30 pages. And it says, take artisan tools to the next level and make them more creative, fun, and rewarding. Solve downtime crafting's persistent issues by adding a few simple streamlined rules and player choice. Reward your players for choosing proficiency with artisan's tools and make them important in your game, from defeating special monsters to using special items. So you get very simple crafting rules that require less downtime and more agency. Expansions to artisan tools, including special components and alternative creative uses. An artisan boon for each tool to reward characters for their chosen profession. Backgrounds, traits, and adventure hooks for the assassin group of master artisans. 22 rewarding items for the artisan requiring tool proficiency to use. And 4 monsters with weaknesses to artisan tools. So it's really just anything and everything you could ever want for artisan tools. I mean, artisan tools get a little small section in the Dungeon Master's Guide or Player's Handbook or wherever it is, and that's it, right? And you see them referenced here and there. Oh, it's a skill check using thieves' tools or artisan's tools or this tools or whatever, right? But they don't get all this attention that they're getting here. So why not get a book like this? It's going to really deep dive into a sort of overlooked area of the game. They're there all the time. It's part of your starting kit, but they just don't get any attention. So now here it is. Here is that attention. Somebody has taken the time to really go into all of the artisan tools, mason's tools, the potter's tools, the smith's tools, all of it. And then crafting, and then master artisans and that whole thing, which is, I think, a background, and then traits, and then you've got tools of the master artisans, so some other stuff like a bash kit, a dart of penmanship, etc., and then foes for artisans that have weaknesses to the kits. So really bring these things to life in your game. So you can see 6 of the pages here. You can read about, the different parts of it. It talks, like right here, this whole section on the right-hand side is alchemist supplies. Look at how much information you're getting. I mean, that is a whole column in a book on alchemist supplies. You don't get that anywhere else. So it says alchemist supplies allow a character to produce various chemical substances such as acids, elixirs, and even explosives. They can also be used to craft magical potions, though this procedure requires a combination of recipes, knowledge, special ingredients, or magical ability. And a set of alchemist supplies includes a set of glass beakers, tubes, a burner, a glass stirrer, a mortar, and pestle, etc. So it's giving you a whole paragraph describing what's in this kit. I mean, that alone is so valuable. And then it says special components. Alchemist supplies may also have one or more of the following components listed in the alchemist supplies special components table. So things like an alembic, burner bellows, a fume mask, goggles, etc. Testing strip. I mean, it goes on. And then alternative uses. A character proficient with alchemist supplies may be able to use it for other situations. So ability checks, you can add your proficiency bonus to intelligence, wisdom checks you make related to tool or objects produced by the tool, such as identifying potions, recognizing rust colors, tracking chemical residue, and it goes on. I'm just giving you a sampling. So that's cool. It gives you bonuses. Create smoke as an action. You can use alchemist supplies and 1 gold's worth of materials to create a puff of thick smoke that lasts until the end of your turn. The smoke heavily obscures a 5-foot radius area centered on you. And then minor explosion as an action. You can use alchemist supplies to create an explosive burst of sound that can be heard up to 300 feet away. So now you're coming up with some subterfuge options for these kits, which is really cool. You can use it for role play, like that sound could be used as a distraction, or you could say, hey, did you know the gods are angry? And then you could use this, behind your back or something, and all of a sudden you hear this huge sound, and it just it emphasizes the role play. So love it. And then there's this boon for alchemical resilience. Thanks to your mastery of alchemist supplies, you have developed a natural protection against poisonous chemicals. If you would take poison damage equal to your proficiency bonus from a single source, you can reduce that damage to 0. So another little bonus for carrying this. And this is just one of the artisan's tools. There's a column like this for all of them. So how much fun is that? Being able to flesh out these artisan tools, give them some life. People are going to ask you, if you're a DM, well, what's in my alchemist supplies? And then you got to, like, off the cuff say, oh, it's this, it's that. Yeah, there's a beaker in there and some little bits of something in a vial, and there's a recipe. And it's like, you know, you're improvising. Well, why do that when you can grab this book for $8.95 and just have it? It's ready to go. Even if you don't use these special abilities, it's giving you details of what's in there that you can build upon. And we haven't even gotten to the background for the master artisan. We haven't gotten to all these special magic items and magical tools, and then these foes that are susceptible to your artisan tools. Can you imagine being in combat and being able to use your artisan tools that you got at the very beginning to actually help take down an enemy? I mean, that's just like, nobody's done that, right? So as usual, 𝘽𝙗 has done a beautifully laid out book with wonderful artwork and just so creative and well written. It's just the total package. I am always impressed with 𝘽𝙗. So gotta check it out. It's in the links below under Tools of the Trade. Give it a click. Next, we have Valor and Villainy Labyrinth for 5th edition. So this is a really cool and fun book because Skybound Tabletop, who's put this out, has also created a board game, a fantasy RPG board game that uses the artwork that you're seeing here. And I think they had a Kickstarter and stuff. And so there's this whole Valor and Villainy game, board game that you can play. And I looked at it yesterday and it looks really cool. The way the board looks and the art and everything. Anyway, they've decided to release now 5th edition content using the same sort of world and characters as their board game. So it's really fun, exciting, and it's a suggested price of $5 for 36 pages. Authors Dan Strong, Ben Kepner, and James Van Neerkerk. And it says Valor and Villainy is a fantasy RPG board game, and you can learn everything you need to know at valorandvillainy.com. But the supplement is a tool for both players and game masters to aid the lighthearted world of Valor and Villainy, or to add the lighthearted world of Valor and Villainy into your ultra serious 5th edition campaign. So this is kind of like campy comedy looking fun little creatures and stuff. So yeah, bringing those into a serious campaign could mix it up, right? It includes new subclasses, races, spells, treasures, and a one-shot scenario meant to introduce your players to the world of Valor and Villainy. So the backgrounds include minion, sidekick, literary researcher, waiter, and then subclasses, you've got the gentle person burglar for the rogue, you got the mech pilot for the artificer, the circle of shapes and letters for the druid, and the astral ranch hand for the sorcerer. Then you got frog person, work forged golem, and muscle boys demon for the races, as well as an undead subrace, the Frankenfriend, which is perfect for Halloween time. 21 new spells and 7 new treasures like Chekhov's gun. And then you've got that whole one-shot scenario. So you can see 10 of the 36 pages. And, I mean, you can see how playful this artwork is. I mean, look at that. It's just... it makes me smile. The colors are fun. The shapes of the creatures and characters is just playful. So I can see why it also would be really cool for a video, or not a video game, a board game. So, and I love this logo too, Skybound. Skybound comics are just so cool. I mean, just so many great ones. I can't even get into it right now, but I love their comic books. Anyway, so the backgrounds, all of the backgrounds presented in the player's handbook and other 5th edition source books are just fine to use in the world of Valor and Villainy, but they're giving you some new ones so that if you want to really bring that Valor and Villainy setting to life that you've seen on the board game, you can. So it says, with a minion, you have ambition and are drawn to those more powerful than you. You lick their boots, learn what you can, and when the time is right, cast them aside and step into the spotlight. Yeah. But for now, You will wait patiently and learn from your boss's mistakes and nibble greedily at the crumbs of power they impart to you. It's slightly more appealing than residing in their dungeon, but hey, it's a living. That's fun. Being a minion, it makes you laugh reading this. So you get skill proficiencies, of course. You get tool proficiencies with the Poisoner's Kit. And then you get a feature, yes, boss. You may select any sentient being as your boss with your DM's approval, of course. If you select a boss within your party, you may add their charisma modifier to a single roll once per long rest. They certainly know how to make a compelling argument. That's funny. And then you get the personality traits, bonds, flaws, all that good stuff, ideals. And the sidekicks is another background, literary researcher, waiter. I mean, these are fun. Actually, you know what? Let's go back up and read the first one on all of the minions tables. So personality trait, I have a great evil laugh and use it often and at inappropriate times. That's funny. And then ideal, respect, no matter how far down you are in the chain of command, everyone deserves to be treated like a person. That's true. And then bond, I won't stab you in the back if you don't betray me. And then flaw, I'm really hard on myself when I mess up, and I'm worse on others. Okay, so yeah, those appropriate. I could see a minion that's like, especially being a minion because you're kind of already subjugated a bit, so you maybe are taking it out on others. So it totally fits. And then scrolling down, we're going to see some of the subclasses here. So we got the gentle person burglar. It says you admire the finer things in life and pilfer and purloin with precision and panache. It's not just about stealing something and selling it for lots of money for you. Quite the contrary. It's about stealing something and selling it for lots of money with style. So you got sticky fingers starting at 3rd level. You can use the bonus action granted by the cunning action to make sleight of hand check to pick an enemy's pocket or steal an unequipped weapon off of them and ready it. It says, who needs a flamed mace up in your face when you get them phalanges up in their space? You know what I'm saying? I mean, so there's this humor throughout this, right? I think it's just fun. There's just not enough humor sometimes in D&D, so I think it's cool to see this. It says, honest eyes and a lying mouth. When you choose this archetype at 3rd level, you will have to prove yourself worthy to join the elite thieves' meet. You can demonstrate the ability to determine the precise value of any item you hold, knowing it after holding the item for 1 minute. Afterwards, you also gain advantage on any charisma checks you make in the next 10 minutes regarding that item. It says, never selling my Magic the Gathering cards at a comic shop again, that's for sure. And then the cat burglar and spats. So at 9th level, while performing a dexterity stealth roll, you gain +1 to your roll up to your proficiency bonus for each 50 GP worth of clothing you have on your person. Thievery may be viewed as abhorrent for some, but poor fashion is truly unforgivable. So yeah, so it encourages the character to dress more finely, which again leans into this gentle person notion of a burglar rather than just, you know, a common burglar. You're kind of almost look like a noble because you're dressed so in such finery, right? As you're burgling people. So really fun. And yeah, there's other abilities like at the 17th level, your disdain for your lessers has become palpable like a fine satin glove. Whenever you make an attack against a target with a challenge rating equal to or lower than your level, gain a +1 hit and a +3 to damage for each level you are above it. So yeah, again, makes sense. You're trying to raise your status through your appearance and just have you know, that appearance of, like I said, a fine burglar as opposed to somebody who's just, you know, in rags trying to steal stuff. So cool. Love this. I think the artwork is just really cool. And I think you really need to check out not only this book, but Skybound's board game for this at valorandvillainy.com. So go to the links below, click the link and purchase the book, but also check out their board game. And remember, it's a suggested price. So if you want to check it out first and then pay later, you can do that. But I definitely encourage you to pay something and support Skybound's efforts to bring this to you so that they'll keep doing it. I think we need more humor and fun stuff like this in D&D. So check it out. It's under Valor and Villainy in the links below. Give it a click. Well, that was our last new release this week. So now we're going to talk about the exclusive discount that we're going to give you on Monday at 10 a.m. Mountain Standard Time on our social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. And then, of course, we'll talk about this book in deep detail in next week's episode as well. But, you know, at Splinterverse, we are giving these exclusive discounts for a week usually. So you want to get, you know, take a break from work on Mondays and come and get this discount before it's gone. So this one's going to be on the Central Market, a Market District DM helper, which is an best Electrum seller. So lots of people have already purchased this, and it's normally 99 cents. We're giving you a discount on that 99 cents. So you're going to get this for even less than that. That's so exciting. It's 37 pages. And it's got a huge variety of stores, from fishmongers to blacksmiths, stables to tattoo parlors, magic shops to herbalists. Your traveling party of adventurers are sure to find what they are after. So 30 different stores with full inventory lists, descriptions, backgrounds, plot hooks, and more. We're going to go into it again next week, look at the inside, read a little bit more about it. But I mean, if it's 99 cents and you're getting a discount, I mean, this is going to be a steal to get this from Glenn Watkins. And I think it's fun. You can never have enough shops. I mean, there's this huge cities like Waterdeep where, you know, you're going to need as many as you can come up with, and just, you never know when they're going to say, oh, we've got to go, is there a town nearby? We got to go to a town. And it's like, oh, I didn't plan for that. Well, with a book like this that's going to be less than 99 cents with our discount, you're going to be ready. You're going to have it on hand. So make sure you're following us at Splinterverse everywhere so you can get access to these discounts that aren't offered elsewhere, so that you can get to know these publishers and support them and get a good deal all at once. So it's a win-win for everybody. So be sure to follow us. And thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel. Like the video for the algorithm, leave us a comment, and share the video out there with your friends on your social media, or email it to them or whatever, so we can get the word out about all these fun titles and our discounts and all the good stuff going on here in the Splinterverse. And of course, go to splinterverse.com and check out all of our books, and you know, let us know what you think if you buy them. We love your feedback. We've got a Dragonlance book coming out later this year that's going to be huge sized book. It's got stuff for players and DMs, so you're going to want to stay tuned for that. And then we've got, of course, 6 other books that we've already released, so we want you to find out about those. But beyond that, really think about all these awesome titles we've talked about this week. Share the links with your friends, click them yourself, make purchases, and leave comments. Follow the creators, do whatever you can to support these third-party publishers, because a lot of them go out of business. They just stop doing it. It's hard. You know, this is a challenging industry, so the support means a lot to them. And if you happen to purchase anything after you click those links, it's going to help support this channel. So we get a small affiliate fee, so we appreciate when you do your shopping with us. Even if it's nothing that we preview, that helps us too. But we hope that you're going to buy a lot of the stuff we showed this week, because it is awesome, and a lot of it's so inexpensive. So why not grab it and have it on hand for when you need it? So if you're out there creating, I just urge you to stick with it and to, you know, keep good notes. You never know when an idea is going to strike you. You can get inspiration from anywhere. You know, if you feel like you're getting away from your work too much, maybe, you know, somebody wants you to go to an event, or they want you to go watch something, you know, take a little notepad with you and maybe jot some notes and ask yourself questions as you're doing this event, you know, or watching something. You know, what can I use from this in a D&D setting? What can I take from this for a story? How can I twist this story that I'm watching, if it's a movie or a play or something? What can I twist from this story and turn it into something fresh and new for my product? So there's a lot of ways to get inspiration when you're pulled away. So you don't always have to feel, you know, as a creator, you can feel guilty when you're leaving your work to go do something else, right? So you don't have to feel that. You can make it do double duty for you. It can give you some relaxation and bonding time with your friends, family, loved ones, but also can be inspirational. So yeah, just keep a little notepad. You maybe an app on your phone even for notes. That could be a good way of tracking it too. So anyway, thanks to everyone watching, creators or otherwise. I really appreciate you watching the video and supporting all these awesome creators. And until next time, happy adventuring.